Ravens beat the Cowboys 31-13. We have big games from Tez Walker, Keyon Martin, Reuben Lowery, Mike Green, Tyler Loop, Jay Higgins. We're going over all the highlights and post-game thoughts from this game. Let's get into it.
Ravens flock. The flock rundown is the place to be.
Motionless brainwaves attempt to swim their way to sense, can't tame the untamed.
What's up, Ravens fans? My name is Ryan, and welcome back to another episode of the Flock Rundown post-game episode. If you're up late watching this, shout out to you. But the Ravens beat the Cowboys 31-13. We're going to go through all the standout players, the highlights from the game, overall thoughts about the game, some guys that didn't shine tonight. We're talking about it all. There's a lot of standouts from this game. I'm going to start with Tez Walker since we didn't get to talk about the receivers pretty much at all in the last game. Much better game from the past game overall, and Tez Walker was the standout wide receiver. 6 catches, 61 yards, 8 targets. Cooper Rush was hitting him early and often. A lot of out routes for Tez. He also had a nice contested catch. I thought it was a very productive day for Tez Walker, especially since he didn't play the whole game. 6 for 61 in the short amount of time that he got in that first half is awesome. I thought Tez Walker had an incredible game, and he's really just continuing an outstanding offseason. I mean, this guy's been making plays all through mini camp, training camp, and now in the preseason in week 2. His roster spot's obviously cemented. I don't think that was a debate. He wasn't one of the guys on the bubble. So great to see Tez shine tonight. He's definitely going to get a lot more opportunity than he did last year with the starting offense as this regular season starts. I think Tez Walker will be involved. I'm not saying he's going to go off often. I don't think that he's going to have a ton of volume or huge stat line games, but I definitely think Tez Walker is going to score a few touchdowns. It's going to be a deep threat out there, but he's also showing that he's not just a deep threat. We know he's had the speed. I think he's running good routes, and he's catching the ball. So, Tez Walker has just been impressive this entire offseason. Shout out to Tez Walker. Another standout tonight was Mike Green, and I know he didn't get a sack, so, if you just look at the stat line, you might not know, but this guy was so close to getting a ton. He forced a lot of quick throws from Milton. The Lowery interception was thrown because Mike Green was about to get there. Mike Green had that 4th down stop, which is basically a turnover, and I just was once again impressed. Every rep I see from this guy throughout the entire offseason has impressed me. And I know he didn't get the sack, but man, he's right there. And these quarterbacks are getting rid of the ball because he's getting there so quick. And he's not only disruptive as a pass rusher, he was really disruptive in the run game tonight, man. That 4th down stop was a run play. There was a couple other plays where he's just really setting the edge. Soon as the running back decides what gap he's going to, boom, he's off the block, hitting the running back. I was just insanely impressed with Mike Green again. Those sacks are coming, and we've seen a nice sample size for Mike Green in the preseason too. They're not taking him out early like they did with Malachi Starks. Malachi Starks barely played tonight. I heard that one bomb that they threw early on in the game that the receiver dropped. I forget who it was, but Malachi Starks was coming. He heard his footsteps. That's the only play I even remember from Malachi tonight because he wasn't in that much. They are playing Mike Green a lot more, so we're seeing a bigger sample size, and I'm just beyond impressed, man. This guy is the real deal. Another standout tonight on defense was Keyon Martin. He got that safety early on. He came unblocked, so anybody that would have came on that blitz would have got that safety. But it wasn't only that safety. Literally the play before, Keyon Martin and Teddye Buchanan blew up, I think it was a toss or something to the outside. They both read it, blew that up, and then the very next play, he's getting that safety. I saw Keyon Martin just flying around the ball consistently. He started tonight. He was there at the start of the game, so that means something too. When you see the guys that are playing in the fourth quarter, it doesn't mean that they're not or don't have a chance to make the team, but it definitely shows, who's getting the most looks and who's not. And Keyon Martin was out there early, so it tells me that the coaches like him, and I think he shined tonight. Staying on the defense and in the secondary, another standout game and turnover from Reuben Lowery. If you've been watching all of the training camp updates, I've covered every single training camp practice. If you've been watching all of those, you know how often Reuben Lowery has been making interceptions. I've been talking about it every day, every other day, it feels like this guy has been constantly getting turnovers throughout camp. They've had him all over the field. They've been running him at safety recently. And what happens tonight? Another interception. Now, it was a ball thrown up in the air, but it doesn't matter to me. Reuben Lowery's out there playing his assignment in the right spot and able to capitalize on the turnover, caught the ball. You know, Reuben Lowery just consistently making plays, man. I can't shout this guy out enough. And I really think with his play tonight, not only just the turnover, but just how much he's been around the ball. He was out there hitting too, you know, and he's running to the ball. The whole defense, honestly, I'm very impressed. You know, Zach Orr's got these guys humming, man. The defense is just flying to the ball. And so is Reuben Lowery. And I really think he's going to make this roster. I don't know if it's a slam dunk yet. Like, I don't know if I could guarantee that. But Reuben Lowery is in the lead, I think, out of all the bubble guys. Like, Reuben Lowery, with how versatile he is, he literally can play anywhere in the secondary, corner, outside corner, inside corner, safety, both safety spots. He can play deep, and it's a big deal that they had him in at safety before Bo Braid tonight. So that tells you something right there. I'm not saying that Bo Braid's not going to make the team or anything, but it tells you how much confidence the team and coaches have in Reuben Lowery already, and why wouldn't they? I mean, he's literally been dominating all camp, got another turnover tonight. Reuben Lowery's going to make this 53. Look at these results. People are making thousands every month betting on sports completely risk-free. The secret? They're using OddsJam. OddsJam just isn't another sports betting app. It's turning the entire system in your favor. Here's how. OddsJam uses a strategy called arbitrage, finding odds discrepancies across the sports books. You bet both sides, and no matter the outcome, you will profit. Here's an example. If you bet $500 on Boise State to win on FanDuel and $335 on their opponent San Francisco on DraftKings, you're guaranteed to make $50 win or lose. It's that simple. With the OddsJam mobile app, you'll get real-time alerts on these opportunities every day. People are making thousands of dollars every month, and to get you started, use code FLOCK for 35% off and a 7-day free trial. I guarantee you'll profit during the trial, and if you don't, cancel with one click, no questions asked. Don't leave money on the table. Go to oddsjam.com, use code FLOCK, and start making money the smart way. Another guy who had an absolute standout night, his homecoming night, Tyler Loop, who John Harbaugh officially announced is the starting kicker of the Ravens. He hit from 29, 51, 42, 36 and 53 yards. He did miss from 50 left, but 5 for 6 in the game is incredible in my opinion. I mean, yeah, he missed a 50-yarder left, but you got 6 field goal attempts. You know, he made all his extra points as well. So I think it was an incredible night from Tyler Loop. Another group that had a really strong night, not just an individual player, and it's mainly because I haven't watched the film yet. None of us can watch the film right after the game, but I thought the starting offensive line was really moving the Cowboys defensive line. The run game was thriving early. Rasheen Ali looked good. He was hitting some holes, and there were a lot of holes. So that's a credit to the offensive line. I thought pass protection was also strong. I didn't see any terrible reps, so I don't have much to complain about with the starting offensive line. I think Noteboom got beat on one around the edge, but overall, Voorhees, Fa'alele, Rosengarten, who were all out there with the starters. Bullock, who ran center for the starters and the backups, also looked good. I thought that the starting O-line was solid, man. I mean, you could just watch the trenches and watch the Cowboys get moved back consistently for multiple drives, and that tells you something. Now, when the backup offensive line came in, you definitely saw the drop-off. I saw Vinson get put on his back. He had a couple bad reps. He's a developmental guy anyway, so I'm not sitting here going to beat him up over any individual rep. I think that he's not ready to play meaningful games in the NFL, and the Ravens definitely drafted him to be a project, which he does have some great tools, man. I definitely think Vinson has future with a year or two of development, but he's not there yet, and we could see that as soon as he came in the game. Ben Cleveland, who they moved to right guard, they had Dellinger at left guard. They moved Ben Cleveland to right guard, which is what a lot of us have been asking for, but he got put on his back and had a couple bad reps, and I didn't dissect every rep, but I definitely saw Cleveland get thrown back. He didn't have his best night tonight, and I just thought it was a noticeable drop-off when the backup O-line came in. It did get a little better as the game went, but you're also starting to to play against the Cowboys, threes and stuff. And going back to what I said earlier, I think the O-line is very difficult to judge right after the game. The O-line is best to be judged when you're really watching each player individually over and over again when the film comes out. But first reaction, I thought the starting O-line was pretty solid. I thought some of the backup depth did not play well tonight. But another guy who did stand out tonight again, also had a standout week 1 preseason game, is inside linebacker Jay Higgins, who got another turnover tonight. Tonight was a strip sack. He came over and punched the ball out. Second turnover in 2 games. He is definitely making a very strong case to make this roster. It'll really just come down to what position they want to keep more depth at. I don't know if they're going to have a 5th safety by keeping Braid, Kane, Lowry. I don't know if they're going to want a 5th inside linebacker by keeping Higgins. What are they going to do on the defensive line with John Jenkins and Okoye? I mean, there's just a lot of decisions to be made, so I don't know if Higgins is going to make the roster. I think Reuben Lowery is probably ahead of him, plus the Ravens are going to want to put some DBs out there on the field, so I do think Lowry would make the roster over him, but there's a couple bubble guys that I could see making the roster. Maybe we keep 5 outside linebackers and get rid of Ojabo and keep a Higgins. I'm not sure how to play out. We'll be talking about this roster over the next few weeks, but Higgins had another standout night tonight. Some other honorable mentions from some guys that had good nights tonight. I thought Teddye Buchanan had a good start to the game. He blew up that play with Keyon Martin right before the safety, and then also there was a play on that next drive when the Cowboys got the ball where Milton threw an out route and Buchanan jumped over, dropped the pick, but was in great coverage, and I thought he was running to the ball. He looked fast, physical. I definitely think he wasn't thinking as much tonight, which definitely probably helps, and that should get better and better as the game slows down and he understands the defense more. He'll be thinking less. I definitely think Trenton Simpson's a starter, but Teddie Buchanan had a solid night tonight. I also thought Rasheen Ali and Myles Gaskin had solid nights tonight. They were running the rock. And speaking of Rasheen Ali, John Harbaugh confirmed tonight that with Keaton Mitchell dealing with a hamstring injury that is lingering, they are going to keep 4 running backs, and Ali made his case, and he's going to be the backup kick returner as well, or if Keaton's out, he's the starting kick returner. So Rasheen Ali is going to make this active roster. Malik Hamm had a great night, got a sack. I don't know if there's room on the roster for him. He's been fighting for a roster spot for a few years now, but Malik Hamm did have a good night tonight. Also on the defensive line as the game went on, I thought Okoye had a really strong night again. I thought Ravenell had a solid night. I saw Peebles getting some pressure. He was flashing. Solid night from all of those guys. Now let's dive into some of the bad from tonight, which isn't a whole lot, to be honest with you. I thought the Ravens had a really strong night overall, but some guys that just didn't help themselves tonight was LaJohntay Wester as a wide receiver. I didn't think he did anything wrong as a punt returner, which is what he's going to be. Now, he didn't get really any chance to go get a punt, but he was fielding them nice. He caught all of them that he was fair catching. He had that one where he let go in the end zone and faked the dude out. I thought LaJohntay Wester did everything he could as a punt returner. He just didn't get to return one. But as a wide receiver, not the best night. He had that early drop on the first drive or second drive. He dropped one on like a curl route, wide open, dropped it. And then on the pick 6, which I'm going to talk about Cooper Rush here in a second, on the pick 6, LaJohntay could have tried to make some kind of play on the ball or just should have had more awareness, I think. I know he kind of turned around late and the ball's there and he just didn't react well, but it just looked like LaJohntay could have came back and tried to make a play on the ball. And maybe he wouldn't have caught it. That would have been a really tough catch because he was covered, but he could have probably prevented the interception by going up for it. But he just kind of stood there and was, confused that the ball was even there. As a wide receiver, not the best night for LaJohntay Wester, but I really don't think that's going to matter. I mean, he's going to be our 6th wide receiver. Unless Zay gets hurt or they just want to have him in on a gadget play, he's probably not going to get a lot of opportunity on offense. We knew that this year. He's brought in to be a punt returner. I still think he makes the team as a punt returner. I still think he's a home run hitter and an incredible punt returner, just not the best night at wide receiver for him. Another guy who didn't really flash tonight that I mentioned earlier in this video but wanted to talk about a little bit more is David Ojabo. I just haven't really been seeing the juice from him, man. I know he had that sack last week, and overall, I didn't think it was an awful week last week, but when you go back and really look at every rep, I just feel like he's kind of moving slow, and it's not the same David Ojabo that we saw coming out of college, and I didn't see a ton from him tonight either. I would say he is truly on the roster bubble, but what might help him is what we just found out from the press conference from John Harbaugh, and that is that Adisa Isaac has a dislocated elbow from tonight's preseason game, is going to be out a few weeks. They said short-term IR may be an option, so Adisa Isaac is going to be shelved for a few weeks, and a roster space is now open. Now, that could fluctuate again if they want to bring him back onto the active roster, but regardless, I think that does create more opportunity for a guy like David Ojabo now that Adisa Isaac is not in the picture anymore short term. Another guy who just really didn't stand out again tonight was Devin Leary. I just don't know where he fits in with this Ravens roster, I guess as an emergency third quarterback, a practice squad quarterback, and they're just continuing to develop him, but I really just haven't seen anything. I haven't seen a ton of progression even from last year, and the offense definitely gets a bit worse when Rush comes out and Leary comes in. Now, Rush also made some mistakes tonight, but had a much bigger sample size. He threw 30 passes. He was 20 for 30 for 198 yards, a touchdown, and 2 picks. But if you just look at the stat sheet, you might be like, man, Rush out there throwing a bunch of picks again. But if you watch the game, the second pick was not on Rush. I mean, Ali dropped it right through his hands. It got intercepted. We saw that happen with Lamar multiple times last year. It is what it is. It goes as a blemish for the quarterback, but it really wasn't Rush's fault. Not that Rush had an incredible night tonight, but I thought he was the best quarterback out there tonight, and it wasn't even close. And that goes for the Cowboys quarterbacks too. Like, Cooper Rush clearly looked like that backup we've been looking for. Is he a starting quarterback in the NFL? No, that's why he's not starting. Is he Lamar? Hell no. You know, like, it is a huge drop off. We are going to be in trouble if Lamar misses a month plus. But Cooper Rush did look like a solid backup quarterback tonight, man. He looked like a guy who could go out there and keep the pass offense alive, even if it's just for a game or two if Lamar did have a small injury. I think Cooper Rush is more than capable of doing that. He had a lot of good throws tonight. And then the bad throw, I thought, or the bad decision more, was that pass to LaJohntay Wester early. Now, I did think LaJohntay or any receiver that is in that position should try and make a play on the ball, but Rush shouldn't have thrown it. He wasn't open at all. So that was definitely a really bad decision. Couple missed throws throughout the game, but overall, I mean, I didn't think Rush had a terrible night, and we finally got a bigger sample size. I don't think Devin Leary can do even half of what Rush is out there doing. So Cooper Rush, up and down night. Wasn't in love with everything I saw, but didn't think that he had an awful night either. I definitely think that this was a lot better since he got a lot more play. He basically think he played the whole first half and threw 30 passes. So we saw a lot from Cooper Rush, and I didn't hate it, man. I think he's a solid backup quarterback. So great night overall. One more preseason game left next week, and then we got a lot of roster cuts. We're going to be talking about this final 53-man roster quite a bit. But let me know what you guys are thinking about the game tonight. Appreciate you guys, as always, for tuning in to another episode of the Flock Rundown. Have a beautiful rest of your night, and I'll let the greatest linebacker in the history of the game take us out.
Ravens Flock. The Flock Rundown is the place to be. My man Ryan has been a lifelong Ravens fan since he was born. The Flock Rundown. Nothing gets better than waking up and wondering how high we can fly. Tune in.
Motionless brainwaves attempt to swim their way to sense, can't tame the untamed.